and full of dreams. The second child in a family of 4. Her parents, like many of their community, believed in family bonds and the importance of visiting relatives. That was how Nike ended up spending her school holiday at her uncle's home in a bustling town. One day, Nike's mother Abike called her daughter and said, "My daughter, I want you to go to the city and spend your next holiday with my younger brother Ade. You know he is my one and only brother. It is a good thing for you to go know his children so you can get used to the family." And Nike, in all excitement, said, "Yes, mommy, that would be lovely. I will be willing to go." When the holidays came, Nike set out on a journey to the city to Uncle Ade's house for the long-term holiday. Her uncle, Ade, was well known and respected. He was a businessman, successful in his trade, and often seen as a role model. But behind closed doors, Ade carried a dark secret. His wife, Toke, had endured years of his infidelity, but as is often the case in such situations, many choose to look the other way. Nike didn't know much about it. It wasn't her business after all. She started enjoying her stay in Uncle Ade's house. At first, everything seemed perfect and she was excited. Little did she know that the nightmare of her life is about to start playing. One Saturday morning, while Toke, Uncle Ade's wife, and her daughter set out to the market to buy foodstuff, Nike was tasked with preparing ingredients for a meal. As she focused on her work, she felt someone grab her waist from behind. Startled, she turned and saw her uncle. "Ah, Uncle Ade, what is that?" she asked. He just laughed and said he was just joking. Nike forced a smile, unsure of how to react, and brushed it off. After all, this was her uncle. Few minutes later, Uncle Ade called Nike to his room. "Nike, I need you to help me dress my bed. It is dirty. Come and change the bedspread, please." And she quickly ran to her uncle's room to get the bed ready. As she bent to dress the bed, Ade grabbed her from behind. What happened next was every girl's worst nightmare. Ade forced himself on his 13-year-old niece. It was a painful and awful experience. "Uncle, please stop this. Uncle, this is so painful. Uncle, I don't like this. Uncle, stop. You're my uncle. Don't do this to me." But Ade will not listen. He stroked in and stroked out of Nike mercilessly, satisfying his sexual pleasure without thinking of the pain the young girl is going through. Instead, the only thing Uncle Ade said to Nike was, "Come on, spread your legs wider open. I need to get in well. Don't worry, with time you'll soon start enjoying it. I'm your uncle, I'm only teaching you how to be a woman." Nike cried in pain and anguish. "Uncle, please stop." She begged him to stop, tears streaming down her face, but he was deaf to her pleas. He overpowered her, ignoring her cries, and violated her in the most brutal way. When Uncle Ade was done satisfying his urge, Nike sat on the floor, shocked, bleeding, and broken. Ade, showing no remorse, mumbled an apology. He claimed he had lost control, that he had not known she was a virgin. From that day, Nike's life changed forever. Uncle Ade warned Nike not to tell anybody. In his exact words, he said, "Nike, if you tell anybody about what just happened, I will kill you myself. And I'm sure you don't want to die. Not a single person must hear about this." And Nike was afraid, and she didn't tell anybody. But Toke, Uncle Ade's wife, was not fooled. She noticed how Nike's body language had changed, how she avoided eye contact and moved awkwardly. One day, She cornered the girl and asked her, "Nike, what's wrong? Tell me the truth." Nike hesitated. Ade had threatened her, saying he would kill her if she told anyone. So out of fear, she denied everything and told Toke everything was perfectly fine. Weeks later, the worst happened. Nike began to feel sick. She was nauseous and vomited frequently. Toke suggested taking her to the clinic, but Uncle Ade insisted he would handle it. At the hospital, the doctor confirmed that Nike was pregnant. Ade bribed the doctor to keep quiet and arranged for her to take pills to end the pregnancy. That night, Nike cried herself to stupor, wishing she could live back to her parents' house. She stylishly called her parents, begging them to come take her back home, but they dismissed her concerns. She said to Abike, her mother, over the phone, "Mama, please, I want to go home. I don't like it here anymore." And Abike quickly dismissed her without asking her daughter why. She said to Nike, "Nike, so you don't like a better life, Abi? Stay there. That is my younger brother's house. He will treat you well. Ade is my dear brother, my only brother. Don't worry. When you are coming back, I'm very sure he will give you your school fees. At least we don't have to pay school fees for this term anymore. Why will you say you want to come when the holiday is not over? Don't say that again. Stay there with your uncle. It's just for a little longer." Abike had no idea what was happening. Days later, Nike began bleeding heavily from the effects of the pills. Ade rushed her to same clinic, covering his tracks once again. She returned home, feeling very weak and devastated, feeling trapped in a nightmare she could not escape. But before they got home, Ade warned her again. "Nike, you know I love you so much. I am your uncle. All these things I'm doing is for your own good, oh. So that when you grow up, you will become a better woman. But let me warn you again. If you tell anybody, like I said before, I will kill you. Kill you and kill your parents." Nike, upon hearing that, was startled with fear. And she said to herself, "I will not tell anybody because I don't want to die. Neither do I want my parents to die." After the bleeding episode, Nike's life grew darker. She felt trapped in her uncle's house, carrying the heavy burden of a secret she didn't want to keep. Her once bright personality had dimmed, and even when her cousins tried to cheer her up, she forced smiles to hide her pain. Every night she keeps calling her mother, but she would never listen. She kept on telling Nike to remain there, just because she wanted her younger brother to give her school fees on her way coming back to the village. And each time there's nobody at home, Uncle Ade kept on having his way with Nike. He will force her. Even when it is painful, he didn't care. Amina will keep crying. "Uncle, please. Uncle, stop this. Uncle, I'm tired. Uncle, my life is messed up. I don't like this." But Ade will not listen. He will stroke in and stroke out, forcefully, brutally. He will stroke in tirelessly, forgetting that this is a 13-year-old girl. And now Nike will cry, "Uncle, please stop this. Uncle, why are you doing this to me?" And Ade will keep telling her, "Open your legs, spread it out. I'm only teaching you how to become a woman. Remember, you don't have to tell anybody, right?" And Nike kept on bearing this pain of anguish, the trauma. She felt alone in this world because each time she tried to call her mother on the phone to tell her, Abike, her mother, never listens. Neither does she sense anything going on wrong. After all, it was her dear brother Ade's house. The worst happened again. Nike became pregnant for the second time. For Uncle Ade, of course. When Ade found out that Nike was pregnant, this time around, he didn't take her to the hospital to take pills. Instead, he pretended like he had no idea of how Nike became pregnant. When Nike got to Uncle Ade and said, "Uncle, I'm pregnant again," Uncle Ade said to her, "Who got you pregnant? How can you be pregnant? Have you started following boys around?" He twisted the story in such a way that it looked like he had no idea of how Nike became pregnant. Oh, poor Nike. She felt helpless, hopeless. She didn't know what to do. It was as if her life has turned upside down. She is pregnant, and her dear Uncle Ade is now pretending like he had no idea about it. Oh, what will she do? The story spread around the family that Nike was pregnant. Uncle Ade abandoned her. Let her carry the cross alone, he said to himself. I can't afford to allow her take another pill. What if she dies? This guy wants to put me in trouble. I was only enjoying myself. After all, she's still a young blood. That was why I started enjoying myself with her. I cannot succumb to the fact that she's pregnant. After all, teenagers get pregnant these days. Nobody will point a finger at me. And Uncle Ade pretended completely like he had no idea about Nike's pregnancy. Toke, Uncle Ade's wife, asked her, "Nike, how did you get pregnant? What happened? I thought you were always at home. You mean you've been going out each time we're not at home?" Nike was terrified. She didn't know what to answer because each time she tries to answer a question, she remembers the threat Uncle Ade gave to her that he will kill her and kill her parents. And she said, "Auntie, I don't know how come. I don't know how I got pregnant. I don't know who got me pregnant." Toke insisted and kept on persisting that she should tell her who got her pregnant. But because of the fear in her, Nike never opened her mouth to say a word about the pregnancy. Each time Uncle Ade sees people around, he will pretend like he had no idea and ask her, "Nike, who got you pregnant? You've not said it, oh. Children of nowadays, you are just 13 years old. How can you get pregnant? You better start talking, else I will send you to the village." And Nike will still keep quiet because of the fear. Nike became a shadow of herself, with a baby growing in her uncle's baby. And now her uncle is pretending like he had no idea. And now she's afraid of saying a word because she doesn't want to die. She cried every night, soaking her bed with tears. It was as if her world has come crashing. It was like her life was messed up. Her life was over.